a KQED television production.
And everybody say, Oppa!
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by
Safe Catch Elite Wild Tuna. Great for athletes, kids, and pregnancy. Safe Catch tests each and every fish for mercury. Available at nearby stores. Walmart Global E-Commerce, with small, agile work teams, is focused on big data, engineering, and e-commerce innovations. Careers available at walmartlabs.com. Sutter Health CPMC, investing in community care for more than 150 years, including 2 new smart hospitals. Your city, your hospital. CPMC2020.org.
Natural Mattress Systems from European Sleepworks, working to improve comfort and wellness for over 40 years. European Sleepworks in Berkeley, online at sleepworks.com. Oakland International Airport, now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com. IRG has over 250 types of natural stone choices in stock today. IRG in Brisbane and Dublin, or at marblecompany.com.
Hi, I'm Leslie Sbrocco. Welcome to Check Please Bay Area, the show where regular Bay Area residents review and talk about their favorite restaurants. Now we have 3 guests, and each one recommends one of their favorite spots, and the other 2 go check them out to see what they think. This week, managing consultant Aaliyah Warren organizes everything. When it comes to planning dinner, she's the de facto restaurant critic / recommendation giver to all her friends. And President and CEO Christopher Silva is a 5th-generation Sonoman with Swiss-Italian roots, which explains his passion, conviviality, and high expectations for every dining occasion. But first, IT specialist Terrence Kirksey computes at all hours. So why not from a familiar seat of his favorite eatery? Contemporary comfort food meets sports bar chic in San Rafael at a place called Flatiron.
One of the fun things that we do here is we have a footwear rule. All the staff wears red sneakers. My name is Alex Stricker. I'm the chef and owner of the Flatiron in San Rafael. I used to come here with my father as a kid. When I heard it was for sale, it was an easy choice for us. The building itself is just oozing with character. It's one of the oldest buildings in Marin, built in 1883. We kind of went with the vintage theme with the reclaimed barnwood and the reclaimed gym floor. The goal was always to create a place for my friends and my family to hang, and it's really become like a neighborhood haunt. The food at the Flatiron is elevated, eccentric American bar food. We have over 20 beers on tap. We have over 20 bottled beers, and there's a beer for everyone. You know, we really want it to be comfortable, and easy is the word. We want the food to be easy and the service to be easy. It's a place where you want to just sit and spend time, watch the big game.
All right, Terrence, so this is a spot you both play and work at, right?
Absolutely, that's right.
In terms of doing your own work.
Absolutely.
It's that comfortable.
It's that comfortable. So I go into the Flatiron, I have my table. I sit down with my bills, my computer. I start off with a nice cold glass of Heineken. The bartenders know me. Schaefer puts another one on ice for me. Or if it's a cold day, I'll start off with a nice glass of Merlot.
Yeah.
The appetizer that I start with is calamari. The calamari is cooked perfectly. It is breaded with a little bit of garlic and spices and Bingo Bob's cocktail sauce. Or I will also include a little bit of garlic aioli.
Oh, you got it down.
Yes.
Did you get that feeling when you went, Christopher, to Flatiron?
I walked in and I brought my son, my 18-year-old son, Joseph, and first thing I saw was upscale sports bar. The floor was an old basketball court, which was very cool.
Yes.
TVs everywhere, and then I saw all the beers, all the draft beers there. We sat down, and it started off a little slow. It took us a while to get menus and a server, but once we did, everything started happening fast. Within about 8 minutes, we had ordered about 7 dishes. My son thought he had just won the lottery because 18-year-old boys like to eat. And Joseph went crazy.
Right.
The banh mi sandwich, the Italian beef sandwich, Al's wings, truffle fries. It was a sports bar with upscale food, and you could tell that they cared very, very much about the food. We just feasted.
And we ordered a ton of dishes as well. It was happy hour. Truffle Parmesan fries, buffalo wings, pot stickers, grilled broccolini, which was actually really
I saw that.
good.
Was it good?
I thought this was done really well. Like, not too mushy, not too crunchy, with some grilled flavor and a good dipping sauce, creamy and light, that went with it. And I really liked that, and I was surprised that it was there.
My son and I thought that the Italian beef, or the Italian cheesesteak sandwich, was the winner. This beautiful sliced beef on a nice hearty roll, but it had pepper jack cheese, it had garlic aioli, it had those wonderful sweet peppers that were grilled with onions, out of this world. And then at the end of the meal, the pulled pork sliders came along. King's Hawaiian bread, the little rolls that were lightly toasted. They were just perfectly toasted, and on that was the pulled pork that was moist, bordering on wet, but not quite wet, but it had this sauce that was both sweet and hot, and then on top of that was coleslaw, and the coleslaw was very, very fresh, and it wasn't heavy or overtly creamy. It had a hint of bitterness, which gave a little bit of bite and snap, but it also had a little bit of sweetness. These were absolutely delicious.
You're
that was the
making me
dish.
hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry now too, talking about it.
I will continue with the pulled pork tacos with cheese and also rainbow lettuce. And I'll continue with that with the waffle cut fries with garlic and delicious sea salt.
You got this down. You got like a checklist when you go in there.
I can
don't you?
keep
You got
going.
your own table, you got your own menu.
Sliders with cheese and grilled onions, and the cheese was actually inside of the burger, which was different, and I liked that, but they were a little bit dry. And I kept adding ketchup to it just to see if I could make it a little bit better. They also came with truffle Parmesan fries, which I was really excited about, but which I didn't feel like had that much flavor. And kind of like a running theme through the meal was, is this stuff all really made here? It was from, Asia, Mexico, America, and then everything seemed very even. So it was good, and I did eat my fill. So I don't know if I can necessarily complain about that, because I loved it.
Yeah. The ingredients are fresh, though.
Oh, they are.
Yes,
There's
that's very
fresh
true.
ingredients.
Okay.
When you go to a sports bar, you have certain expectations about the food, and this exceeded those expectations, and it had a sense of character. The place felt very local and very warm. Our server couldn't have been more friendly and more helpful.
She's wonderful.
She's terrific.
She is
my
wonderful.
son liked her a lot.
Yes.
And she kept coming by and checking on us and making sure that we had everything. It was fun, but the food exceeded expectations. I thought the banh mi sandwich was just a hint on the dry side, but there were some standouts. The beef sandwich, the pulled pork sliders were absolutely incredible. If I had a buddy visiting from out of town, a college buddy, that's where we'd go.
Yeah, I actually was impressed by their beer menu. So I really like craft beer, and the waitress recommended a Belgian wheat beer that she gave me a little taste of ahead of time, which is always nice to try. And I loved it. And my friend got a Kentucky Mule, which came in a copper cup, which she
It's
thought,
basically just bourbon and ginger beer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instead of vodka.
But she loves that, so she enjoyed it.
And the beers on tap, they actually change weekly. They rotate weekly. So, and they have a nice, very simple wine menu.
And did you feel like you got value for your dollar?
Absolutely. That's why we ordered so much food. It was just so affordable, and also we were excited to try all the different things from all the different types of cuisine. We couldn't fit in dessert because we were too full by the time we had the beer and all the other things, but it was a great value, I thought.
All right, this is your spot. Give us a quick summary.
For the #1 sports bar in the Bay Area, for eat-drink sport, visit the Flatiron.
All right, and Aaliyah?
If you're looking to watch a game or two and get a great drink, head to the Flatiron.
All right, and Christopher?
Fun local sports bar with great character and even better food.
If you would like to try Flatiron, it's located on B Street at 2nd in San Rafael. The telephone number is 415-453-4318. It's open for lunch and dinner every day. Reservations are not accepted, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $20. Mediterranean dishes take on a contemporary twist at Aaliyah's Pick, with top chef alums at the helm of this vibrant neighborhood spot. Cocktails as well as imaginative plates shine in the Lakeshore District of Oakland at Shakewell.
Shakewell started off with a greeting because everyone usually gets a handshake. Then it led to the well-shaken cocktail.
The design we wanted it to feel airy and light and welcoming. There's wood, there's stone,
Steel.
there's pillars that were taken out of the armory in San Francisco, and we repurposed them as pillars and also as benches.
Hospitality is a big deal to us, and everyone is like a guest in our home. The friendliness, the professionalism, the consistency, food to service to cocktails to dessert.
Tim gets to know all our customers. He's like the mayor of Lakeshore. The creation of the menu at Shakewell was to have shared food, Mediterranean influences, and we just love Spanish wine and Spanish food. It's just perfect for the Bay Area, for all the produce that's here and all the seafood that comes from here.
Our wine list at Shakewell covers all over Spain, Lebanon, Portugal, Greece, and we only have 2 California wines.
The beauty of Shakewell is you could just come in and have a couple of cocktails and eat a couple of small plates. You don't have to have a full commitment to a 2-hour dinner. We're casual. We're your neighborhood spot.
Somebody said hip but approachable. I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Aaliyah, cocktails or food? Cocktails or food? Or both?
Definitely. So I think this place is so great. There's 2 Top Chef alumni here, Jen Beastie, who was on Top Chef Chicago, and Tim Nugent, who was on Top Chef Just Desserts. Tim's at the front of the house, and he's super friendly, super nice.
Yes.
He gives me a hug when I come in.
Yes.
And even if he doesn't know you, he's just like your new best friend. So when I get there, the first thing I want is a cocktail. They're super well crafted. The bartenders are definitely artists. Followed quickly by croquetas, which are salted cod fried balls, which sound really strange, but are so delicious. Crispy on the outside, tender on the inside, with this amazing squid ink aioli, which you would think would be strange, but is so delicious, creamy and briny, and goes perfectly with the croquetas. The last time I was there, they had this amazing drink called the Paper Plane. Aperol, Amaro Nonino, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of sweet, gin, which I love, perfectly balanced,
Right.
but not too strong. It might sneak up on you, though.
All right, what did you have when you went there, Christopher?
We started with the jamon croquetas, which the croquetas out of ham, which I thought were very good because the outside was just crunchy enough. It had that nice coating. Then you bite it and it was cheesy and hammy inside. And it really worked very well and went very nicely with the white wine. The other dish we ordered was the tempura cauliflower on a bed of crunchy basil. It was absolutely delicious. It was rich, but it also had a savory flavors, and it had a very clean flavor and very clean presentation. It also went well with the Spanish white.
With the Spanish white, they have white Riojas. Now, what did you have, Terrence?
So, you know, I was very impressed when I first walked in. Tim, the owner, shook my hand, he seated me, and then I started off with grilled broccoli in a vinaigrette with breadcrumbs and spices. I really enjoy olive oil and red wine vinegar, so I ordered 2 sides. The flatbread was delicious.
Nice.
Absolutely delicious.
I always get one of the bombas, which is kind of their version of paella. It's actually cooked instead of in a big steel pan, it's in a small clay cazuela. They have a few different versions. This past time I got clam and chorizo and whitefish, which was so delicious. So a bunch of fresh clams on top. They always put a lot of the protein in there, so you never feel like you're skimped on anything, and it's a flavorful rice, not too mushy, tender. I love that dish.
My guest wanted the sizzling shrimp they had, and I wasn't as wowed by it as I thought it would be. It was basically shrimp it came out sizzling in a little skillet in olive oil with a few pieces of garlic, some nice French bread with it. It was pleasant, but I wasn't as wowed by it. Then we had the bacon-wrapped medjool dates, which were absolutely delicious. And it was bursting with flavor and very rich, very satisfying. The dates were so meaty, they almost tasted like they were an actual protein, like a beef or a pork or something, and it worked very, very well.
My friend and I, we split the game hen.
That's hard. They're tiny little things.
This was a very nice sized portion.
Oh, good.
You know, I almost ordered the game hen,
Yes.
but Yvette said you might want to think about the fried chicken.
Yes.
Fried chicken was out of this world.
Yes.
And it was 2 large chicken breasts,
Yes.
fried in just perfectly done. You could tell the oil was very fresh and very clean, and it was on a bed of Greek yogurt, and then on top of it was a red chili sauce.
Yes.
And the contrast and the textures and the creaminess at the bottom of the plate compared to that little kick and spice from the chili sauce,
yes,
it was really a beautiful dish.
Anything else stand out? Desserts or?
Bread pudding with raisins.
Yeah, I got
Caramel
that as
sauce.
well. And I don't usually like raisins. I think these might have been dates, so maybe that's why it was okay for me to get this. But I thought it was so good. Tender with a vanilla sauce, I think it was. Really tasty. And we also got some sort of chocolate dish that had cacao nibs on top. And it was the contrast of the smooth chocolate with the crunchiness on top. So delicious.
What about service? You guys briefly mentioned service.
I was very impressed with James. He was not only the bartender, but he was also our server. And he kept the radar on us the entire evening, making sure that we were cared for. Tim, the owner, came back to check on us. I was also impressed with the decor, how well thought out the decorum was. And the room, to me, was separated into two parts where those who wanted to dine and drink and watch the game could sit there. But also those who wanted to enjoy the dining experience could do that separately. But also, too, the staff and the customers were very diverse. So we felt right at home and our spirits were lifted.
They're very lively, eclectic. It had a good vibe. It's neat when you go into a restaurant and you just feel a good energy about the place. It made it very interesting. It made you feel good to be there.
That's right.
Good ambiance. All right, this is your
Absolutely.
spot. Wrap it up for us.
A stylish neighborhood restaurant with well-crafted cocktails and amazing food.
All right, and Terrence.
For a culinary Mediterranean experience, visit Shakewell.
All right, and Christopher.
Cool, edgy, diverse, contemporary place with a city feel, good food, and a great vibe.
All right, if you would like to try Shakewell, it's located on Lakeshore Avenue at Mandana Boulevard in Oakland. The telephone number is 510-251-0329. It's open for lunch Wednesday through Friday, dinner Tuesday through Sunday, and brunch Saturday and Sunday. Reservations are recommended, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $35. I like to root for the talented underdog. In the wine world, Vermouth is just that. Not many appreciate its standalone beauty. A wine-based drink fortified with brandy and infused with a melange of herbs and spices, Vermouth was originally used for medicinal purposes. In fact, the word was derived from the English trying to pronounce German wormwood, one of the botanicals in the blend. Based on red or white wine, with red generally sweet and white generally dry, you can't have a martini or a Manhattan without it. My favorite Vermouth-based cocktail is a classic Negroni. People are going back to the basics, though, and sipping Vermouth solo. With a twist of lemon, the underdog is now the star. Delicious. Old school Italian fare plus old world charm combine to make Christopher's North Beach pick a classic. Traditional recipes made with authentic ingredients are highlighted in San Francisco at Firenze by night.
I grew up with my father, in Italy, making wine, making prosciutto, salame, pancette.
I am Sergio Giusti, chef owner, Firenze by night. This is Paolo, my son.
Partners in crime.
Yeah. I used to work on a cruise ship when my friend get married, so he has an early wedding. By 2 o'clock, we're supposed to come back on a cruise ship. We were so drunk, forget about it, the cruise ship. And the ship left without us. So we are there, so what are we doing now? No papers, no passport. That's when they start my American adventure. I was in Florida for a few years, and then I come to San Francisco.
I have many photos here around the restaurant of Nonna Maria because she watches over us.
I grew up cooking with her. All my recipe, those are my mother recipe.
When we were very young, Mom and Dad were here every night. So we would come down and play and bother all the waiters and cause trouble. And then, by 8 o'clock, we were so tired, we'd go in the back room and take a nap. That's how our family's always been. Everyone wants to be close together. We're off the beaten path in North Beach, which in a way for us is better. It's kind of like a local secret.
They walk away with a good flavor, but then they go and they try the rest, and they have to come back to the best.
All right, Christopher, how did you discover this spot? I mean, there are a lot of old school Italian places in North Beach.
I was taken about 7 or 8 years ago on a business dinner with a group of people, and I'm Swiss Italian by background, grew up hearing Swiss Italian dialect, spent my senior year of college in Rome, Italy, and I walked into the restaurant, and there was Sergio, the owner. His son, Paolo, is one of the chefs, and you walk in and it's like off the boat Italian. You feel like you're in Rome. And then you try the food, authentic, old school family recipes, many of them prepared with something of a modern twist without ruining the integrity and the tradition of the dishes. It's a terrific place. When I went, we started with the bruschetta. And the bread, as you know, lightly brushed with olive oil, a little bit of garlic, toasted just enough. And the bread was not too hard or too soft so that sometimes the chopped tomatoes fall off of it. It worked just right. And then my favorite thing to order there is antipasto platter. Salami, sopressata, and mortadella. But they also had some nice cold calamari, some Italian tuna, tonno, in olive oil, and then they had a couple slices of mozzarella on 2 tomato slices, and it was this absolutely terrific plate. That and the French bread alone would have been a complete meal.
You're happy. You just need a little Merlot, no, a little Sangiovese.
Which I did. That dish inspired me because all the meat there and the spice. I ordered a bottle of my favorite St. Francis Merlot, which they have on the list.
I sat at the bar.
Forget the table.
Perfect.
Sound like me. I'll just sit at the bar.
I sat at the bar and I started off with a glass of Wente Vineyards Merlot.
Nice.
And then I met Sergio, and he went over some items on the menu.
He's proud of that menu, isn't he?
He certainly
And
is.
he's been there about 30 years?
Yeah,
30 years.
About 30 years, right.
But he explained to me the decor as well as the beautiful painting of the sky and what that meant to him. And then he showed me some pictures of some of the stars that were on the walls.
Fantastic. And what was your dish selection?
So I continued with an old school Caesar with delicious cheese and dressing with a hint of anchovy dressing and croutons.
Nice.
So I was so excited to come here because pasta is one of my most favorite dishes. I took my entire family so I could make them each get a pasta that I wanted to get.
Right.
And I had the pappardelle with rabbit sauce, which was so
One
good.
of their house dishes, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an award winner. Handmade pappardelle pasta with this rabbit sauce, which usually people think is gamey, but was not at all. It was so well seasoned, rich, not too much, not too little. And for some reason, even though the plate was huge, I didn't feel super full and I plowed right through it. My dad came with me linguine with clams, which I thought was delicious. And my mom, she got ravioli della mama, very appropriate.
You gotta do this. Ravioli della mama.
Ravioli della mama. With spinach and ricotta, also I think house-made, delicious. And then another one of my cousins came and got one of the house specials with clams and salmon. It was all very exciting. We didn't get anything else but pasta and Caesar salad, and then we tried the bruschetta, but I thought it was great.
The first night I met Sergio, I said, should I try the gnocchi? And he grabbed my arm and he said, my gnocchi has won more awards than Sophia Loren. The texture of the gnocchi, it was almost al dente, it was just right. And what was nice was these nice potato pillows didn't overpower the sauce or vice versa. The sauce had a richness to it, but the contrast in textures between that nice rich bolognese with chunks of fresh meat against those potato pillows was terrific. And I sipped more Merlot and it went beautiful.
More Merlot. And you know, that is the little pillows of love, aren't they? When they're done right. I mean, they can be heavy otherwise.
Jealous.
And what about the funghi?
The fungi was delicious. It was stuffed mushrooms with ground beef and a delicious brown gravy.
Nice. Paolo said order the swordfish. So the swordfish came out, it had all the beautiful grill marks on it, and brushed with olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, very, very simple. They use very good olive oil. You can taste it in the dishes. A couple of sliced potatoes on the side, a couple of lemon slices, very clean, very simple, cooked just right.
What about desserts?
I got the tartufo di chocolate.
nice.
It was an ice cream ball covered with, I think, powdered cocoa and then some sort of berry sauce on the side. It was good to end with that and the limoncello, which I think is house made. It was so good, very light, not too sweet.
Right.
However, even splitting it among 4 people, we could feel it. So that's a dangerous one. If you want to get it, just get one to share or make sure you're taking a taxi home.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
It wasn't inexpensive, but I think it was worth it. I mean, things were house-made, and also the service was really good. Our server had a lot of recommendations. He repeated the specials for us. He dropped little Italian phrases into it, so we felt like we were in Italy. So I felt like we got our money's worth, definitely. Yes. And I need to go back to get the gnocchi. I'm so sad.
You gotta get the gnocchi, definitely.
All right, this is your spot. Wrap it up for us.
Traditional, old-school Italian in the warmest, most authentic atmosphere I know.
For authentic Italian cuisine with good value, go to Firenze by night.
All right, and Aaliyah?
For a classic North Beach feel and delicious pasta, Firenze by night is the place to go.
Yes.
All right, if you would like to try Firenze by night, it's located on Stockton Street at Columbus in San Francisco. The telephone number is 415-392-8585. It's open every night for dinner. Reservations are recommended, and the average dinner tab per person without drinks is around $50. So I want to thank my great guests on this week's show. Terrence Kirksey, whose neighborhood family-friendly spot makes him feel at home at Flatiron in San Rafael. Aaliyah Warren spices things up with Mediterranean flavors and complex cocktails at Shakewell in Oakland. And Christopher Silva, who can't resist his favorite Italian classics at Firenze by night in San Francisco. We really want to hear about your experiences at any of the restaurants we've been talking about. So find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And don't forget that you can watch any of the shows on our website at kqed.org/checkplease. It's where you'll find links to the restaurants and where you'll find my notes on the wines we're drinking today. So join us next time when 3 new guests will recommend their favorite spots right here on Check Please Bay Area. I'm Leslie Sbrocco, and I'll see you then. Cheers. Cheers. And cheers to you. Cheers.
Check Please Bay Area is made possible by the members of KQED and by IRG has over 250 natural stone choices and over 10,000 stone slabs in stock today. IRG in Brisbane and Dublin or at marblecompany.com. Oakland International Airport. Now with flights all over the world. iFlyOAK.com. Natural mattress systems from European Sleepworks, working to improve comfort and wellness for over 40 years. European Sleepworks in Berkeley, online at sleepworks.com.
Sutter Health CPMC, 7,000 employees, nurses, and physicians caring for their communities every day. Your city, your hospital. CPMC2020.org. Walmart Global E-commerce, with small, agile work teams, is focused on big data, open source engineering, and e-commerce innovations. Careers at walmartlabs.com. Safe Catch Elite Wild Tuna, great for athletes, kids, and pregnancy. Safe Catch tests each and every fish for mercury. Online at safecatch.com.